A short-term debt deal won't fly. Treasury Secretary Tim Geithner also announcing last hour that Speaker John Boehner's two-tier plan won't pass Congress either. They don't have the votes, he says. Former chief speechwriter for President George W. Bush, Mark Thiessen, joins us this morning. Nice to see you, Mark.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. We're trying to keep up with everything that's going on. You penned a piece this week about the Gang of Six, which you call a $3 trillion tax hike in your headline. We're also hearing about this short-term plan, trying to get that pushed through. But it all seems to hinge, both your piece that you wrote about the Gang of Six and if this short-term deal, it all seems to hinge on these Tea Party folks in D.C., these freshman folks. What do you say about that?
Absolutely. Look, we wouldn't even be discussing this kind of debt reduction if it wasn't for the Tea Party. I mean, think about a few months ago when Barack Obama first came to office. His first act in Congress as president was to pass an almost $1 trillion with interest stimulus bill. Then he passed Obamacare, which is a multi-trillion-dollar government intrusion onto the economy. And 5 months ago, Barack Obama put out a budget that tripled the national debt, raising it by $10 trillion over the next 10 years. Today, both Democrats and Republicans are talking about not whether to cut the debt, but how to do it and by how much. We're talking about $1 to $4 trillion in cuts. This is all because of the Tea Party. It's changed the debate in Washington.
Moments ago, Timothy Geithner seemingly answering some political questions or framing it in a political way on Fox News Sunday with Chris Wallace, basically saying we need to extend the debt ceiling limit through the election. Why would the Treasury Secretary be concerned about an election? It's a non-political office.
That's a very good question. It seems that a Barack Obama standard, he keeps saying go through the next election. He's the one who said let's take this to the American people. Well, fine, let's take it to the American people. Why does he seem to be afraid of discussing this next year? Look, the fact is, I don't know what White House Chief of Staff Bill Daley is saying or not, but the reality is he is going to sign whatever's put in front of him. There is no way that the President of the United States is going to allow the country to default because of an insistence over tax increases. His position up until now, everybody's been saying that Republicans are putting a country on the brink of default. Barack Obama is saying he won't sign anything unless it includes over $1 trillion in tax increases. Why is he not putting the country on the brink of default with his insistence on raising taxes?
So I'm also confused as to why you would put the country on the risk of default now if you're not going to sign a short-term debt increase. That's what it seems like the White House is saying this morning. You listen to White House Chief of Staff Bill Daley saying that. We're not going to be signing this. So let me get this straight. You'd rather have a default now than wait an additional 6 months and have to have the chance of a default 6 months from now?
It makes no sense. Look, they are going to sign a short-term deal. They are bluffing. The President of the United States is not going to let the country default or have the they've been warning for months about the cataclysmic consequences of reaching August 2nd without some sort of a bill passed. If Speaker Boehner passes a bill that has about $1 trillion in spending cuts matched with a smaller debt limit increase and puts that in front of the President and the Democratic Senate, they are going to pass it and they are going to sign it.
We'll leave it here, Mark, because we're out of time, but will Republicans even vote for it in the House? He needs 218 votes. Will he get it?
I think they will. I think they'll pass it, and I think they'll push it. You take it as a pocket some modest success, and keep fighting to the next day, and then keep fighting until we get a Republican president and Republican majority in the Senate that's going to have real reform.
Well, we're all over this, Mark, and Twitter blowing up in my hand as I'm standing here with you. Mark Thiessen, always great to see you. Thanks so much. We'll see you next weekend.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
You bet. We'll be watching this today at 4 o'clock when Speaker Boehner apparently hands that deal down. Coming up on the show, he's an all-around hero, a soldier losing his life in Afghanistan, but gives his heart to a woman in the